This is About That Business, hosted by Rom Wills, author, speaker, and entrepreneur. Sit back and enjoy.
Greetings, fam. Even STEM is affected by a bad economy. And I was inspired to do this particular podcast by a quote by the esteemed Mayor of New York. Now, that's an interesting brother, because I always tell him I think he's a comedian somewhere. All right, because that brother is real funny. But then when that brother drop some serious commentary, you have to like sit up and listen. So, I mean, he's hilarious, but he's also a scholar, and he really sees what's going on out here, right? And he was talking about STEM, because even in some videos I've done, I've said, yeah, people need to get into STEM. And that's a general consensus. Get into STEM. We need more people in STEM. They actually do need more folks in STEM. But, you know, it's presented as something to do, especially with other jobs disappearing, businesses disappearing, even in light of the retail apocalypse. Like, plenty of people say get into it. But the problem is, even STEM is affected by a bad economy. Because everything is holistic. Everything is holistic because you have to have, no matter what you do, you have to have a pool of people who are able to pay for your products or pay for your services, one way or the other. And if you have a bunch of people who don't have money to pay for something, that affects you no matter what you do. Let me read this quote by the Mayor of New York that illustrates this. And he was talking about STEM. He said, all STEM disciplines are being hit hard by the economy. Most of it is due to a reduced demand of services. If a company cannot generate revenue from paying customers, that company will need to cut their expenditures. One way to do that is by reducing staff. Even consulting work has taken a hit. More and more what you have now are mid-career engineers competing for the same jobs as first-tier experienced engineers. Now, not including limited hiring ratios being implemented by hiring recruiters. The medical field has taken a hit due to the Affordable Care Act. Insurance companies have reduced their reimbursements to hospitals and doctors. When a hospital's profit margin takes a hit, that hospital begins to cut their expenditures, which means they reduce staff. As insurance companies attempt to reduce their losses, they delay paying out reimbursements to those they owe. Payment that should be paid out within 30 to 60 days tend to go into a black hole for 120 to 180 days. Let me break real quick here. That's a long time to get your damn money. Trust me, I've done some situations where people talking about paying their money like a long time. Trust me, you sitting there waiting for the mailman to come. I remember back in the day when I did some independent work at the DC courthouse. When as soon as that mailman, I was that mailman's best friend. He probably thought I was like a dog or something. As soon as that dude hit the house, I was outside looking at him smiling. He said, "You got anything for me?" So that's no joke, waiting a few months for some money. It's no joke at all. But anyway, let me keep going. Also, with the growing number of people who are uninsured and underinsured, less effective medical procedures are being performed. Hospitals now, for the past 10 years, have about 50% full-time staffing. 32 hours a week is considered full-time, with the remainder of the staff working under 30 hours a week or under 40 hours a pay cycle. Hospitals accomplish this by filling their schedules with part-time workers or PRN pool part-time when needed. For specialty clinics, employees such as ultrasound technologists, CT, MRI, etc., are paid per diem, meaning they are paid based on the cases they do per week. So if a person graduates from a healthcare program via a community college or a 4-year college university, and they are carrying student loan debt, their first obstacle is to pass all of their required certification exams. Then they have to find employment. Then they have to hope employment pays enough to cover costs of living, including making those monthly student loan repayments. Boom. You know, and I'm reading that, not so much to focus on STEM. because STEM isn't really my area. As I said, I'll say, hey, STEM looks good. I'm going by what many people are saying and everything, but I haven't worked in STEM. And just to be clear, and this is something clear for the for this page, for this channel. If I speak on anything, and you the listener have a better perspective on it because you are insider in that field, by all means share. There's a few things I know inside and out, but a lot of it don't necessarily lend itself to this channel. And I can talk about publishing all day. I can talk about publishing, and I'm getting better with the podcast, so I can speak on that. But there's going to be some subject I might say just because of what I'm reading some stuff on it. But there's always two perspectives on everything. I want you to share. I want this to be the type of channel where somebody can share their expertise in a comment, or maybe they'll say, hey, Rom, can you do a video on this, or look into this and talk about this, and I do it. And somebody else might be interested in it. Let's share some information on here. I can't possibly, no matter what I do, even if I did 2 videos a day on this channel, I possibly can't cover every single entrepreneurial opportunity or industry, anything, no matter what. So if you into something, let us know. Now, let me get back to the main program. One thing we have to understand, everything is connected out here. Every single thing. What is happening in one part of the world affects something in this part of the world. It's like, somebody once said the fluttering of a butterfly, like someplace in Africa, can cause a hurricane someplace else. That's real talk. And economics in this economy is not a situation where somebody can say, well, I'll get this job, I'm not affected. You're not affected yet, but you're affected one way or the other. A lot of times it could be bad, sometimes it could be good. Somebody is making a lot of money with businesses going out. It's just like in the car industry when there's many people, and I have to do a video on the auto industry. A lot of people are getting these like buy here, pay here type of car loans, or they taking out a car loan and they can't really pay it. And people will say that's bad, all these people losing a car. But the repossession people making out like a bandit. So it goes both ways, but everything affects everything. And that's one thing as we go forward, we have to look at everything happening and you have to ask yourself, whatever business you're in, it's like, how's this going to affect me right away? Like, for example, in everything I do now, I'm not affected right away. My main thing, it actually isn't podcasts, but selling books, but I sell them through Amazon. So, a lot of people looking at Amazon like they're knocking out everything, and I'm like, shit, they good as hell for me. They print my books, they sell my ebooks. Oh, as long as they good, I'm good. But somebody else, they putting out some small stores and everything, but that has an effect. And I've gone through this before. Okay, like with the books. I've always been with Amazon, but then there was a long time when I first started. I got books printed where I was distributing them myself to different bookstores. But Amazon actually affected that because the online thing started affecting the brick and mortar bookstores. That actually put me out of business because most of my business was selling at those bookstores. And that's like, that's like a drug dealer losing his corners. So that kind of put me out. It's ironic, the whole online thing hit me at first. And really, I'm just now adapting because I had to look into other things. I had a family to feed, because the online thing wasn't as big back then. It's like they put them out, and the ebook thing, that was tricky back then. It wasn't as lucrative as or safe because you could do some in an ebook form, put it out, then all of a sudden, like 200 people who didn't pay for it got it because some one person got it and then shared it via email. It's not like it is now with Kindle and everything. So that kind of hurt me for a while until technology caught up a bit and made it more lucrative for me. But you got to pay attention to every single thing. Always remember that. Everything is like, don't think that you're in a safe job. And that's the thing. No matter what, no matter how much money you're making, don't think you're safe. All it takes is a slight change in demand, and all of a sudden is boom. And that's happened to a lot of businesses. That's happened to a lot of businesses, a lot of fads, everything. So pay attention. Everything is holistic. That's my main message. So anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Let's go make that money.